Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast listeners, hello. Thank you for joining me today. It is AZ, your host. And if you are listening to this on the day it drops, January 2nd, 2024, I would like to be among the first to wish you a happy new year. Before I get to the introduction of my guest today, I do want to give you the opportunity to get registered for a very special webinar. It is free. You don't have to pay for it. It is 7-Minute Science, and Drew Gonzalez and I are hosting it on January 22nd, 2024 at noon Central. Why did I choose January 22nd? It's my birthday, and it's a happy birthday to me. So January 22nd, 2024 at noon Central. I'm going to put the link to get registered in the bio. And even if you cannot attend live, register anyway. We had a little fluke last time. We weren't able to send out the recording. Zoom ate our homework, but I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen again. So as long as you register, we're going to send you a recording. And I have booked 6 out of 7 guests, and just like the first round, they are incredible. So link to register is in the bio. Okay, last year for my New Year episode, I interviewed my friend Shantae Cofield, the Movement Maestro. She has absolutely nothing to do with the fire service. She's a fan of firefighters. She loves the fire service, but she has nothing to do with the fire service. But I interviewed her because I love the way she lives her life. She is 100% unapologetic, living her best life. And so I wanted to bring her on so you could hear about how she is creating, sharing, and just basking in joy. In fact, Shantae says something hilarious. She says, "Winter is a choice, and I don't choose it." So anyway, that was last year, but I decided as a theme for my New Year episode, I was going to stick with that, a non-firefighter, someone who not only brings me joy, but spreads joy throughout the world and is joyful themselves. I am not going to tell you who it is. You're going to get to hear in just a second, but let me tell you, I went into the city for this one. Y'all know I ain't going into the city. Girlfriend doesn't want to deal with the traffic. Girlfriend doesn't want to deal with the parking. It's super stressful, but this guest was worth it. And you're going to hear about our adventures and our antics. What you probably won't hear about is that after we recorded the podcast in the studio, we went out for ramen. It was so much fun. Parking was a nightmare, but I got it done. I drove in the city. I didn't kill anyone, including us. It was a wonderful, wonderful adventure. So I think you're going to love this episode. Get registered for 7-Minute Science. Don't miss out. Please enjoy the episode. And will you please go over to whatever podcast platform you listen on, give us a rating, give us a review, and share it with someone who will enjoy the episode. Have a wonderful day. And Happy New Year from Fire Rescue Wellness. Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Is this thing on?
It is on.
Dang. Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast listeners, I have a fantastic guest today, and we have some stories to tell you. And I would really I wish we were like live so I can say, I want you to guess, but I'm going to give you a couple hints. Fire Rescue Wellness is literally just one person. And then I have a team of people that I contract with to keep my poop in a group. And so we have Lex, which you've all heard of Lex. And maybe you've heard of Sandy. Sandy is my accountant. And then we have the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremiah. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I am so freaking excited for this podcast. And I had a list of things I wanted to talk to you about. But first, we have to start with a story. Because it doesn't get much better than this.
Oh, gosh. It really doesn't.
Let me paint the picture for you folks. So, Jeremiah and I are actually recording in his home studio today, which is called Full Circle Studios. And we had planned to record at Fire and Iron. And then there was a bit of a mishap with a key. Jeremiah lost his key. It's not lost, it's just misplaced. So anyway, Jeremiah called me up and he said, hey, can we go to a different location? Jeremiah, what was my first question for you? Do you remember?
I believe you asked me about the parking. Typical Chicago question. What's the parking like?
What's the parking situation? Jeremiah, I believe you are probably the only person that has listened to every single episode. I know I have a few people that have listened to a lot of episodes, but you've listened to every single one of them. And you know, parking makes me nervous. I'm going to be honest. When you said we want to go to a different place, I almost pooped.
Because I do know that. But then even before I called, I was like, honestly, the selling point is going to be the parking. I feel like once I tell her parking is not going to be an issue, it'll be much more settled. At first, I thought about sending you a picture of what the parking lot currently looked like, because today is Sunday. There's nobody outside. I was like, maybe that might be the selling point. It's my only chance, because I definitely know how you are about your parking.
Oh my gosh. So I was fine with it. Jeremiah assured me. I put the address in my GPS and I drove here. It was no problem. I actually missed the building one time. I had to circle and I found a parking spot. I texted Jeremiah. I said, I'm going to need you to give me the thumbs up where I'm parked, because my biggest paranoia is not only just finding it, but also getting towed or getting a ticket.
Yeah.
You know. So I said to Jeremiah, I'm going to need you to check my parking situation. And he said, okay, what door are you at? And I told him and he said, I'm having an issue. I'm going to buzz you in. I'm dying. I am dying. I can't with this. So Jeremiah, I hear the bzzz, and I go in and I approach the door and I hear Jeremiah on the other side of the door and he says, I'm locked in. I said, what? You're locked in? And he's like, I can't get out. This lock is messed up. And I said, well, is there another way you can get out? Nope, he's locked in. So he and I fuss around with the lock a little bit. I actually go back out to my car to get my ice scraper because first I tried my credit card. I tried to slide the lock. Then I went out to get my ice scraper and I tried to use it as a Halligan bar. It was a little too thick. Jeremiah ran and got some tools. Long story short, we ended up, Jeremiah sort of forced his way out with a flathead screwdriver from the inside.
Shout out to flathead screwdrivers.
Shout out to flathead screwdrivers.
Big shout out.
But we were actually, I'm off duty. I'm on this lock-in and I'm thinking, how am I going to get Jeremiah out? This is embarrassing.
I was like, for a Fire Rescue Wellness podcast interview, this is one sure way to start it off. Safety.
Safety
It's
first.
like how to get my guests out of a locked situation.
Yes.
I'm like, I couldn't think of a better scenario. Like, what better way to have this with than with a firefighter?
Right.
A whole firefighter.
And I was just really proud of myself, Jeremiah, because you were doing so well with that flathead screwdriver. And then you got hyped up.
I did get hyped up.
And I was like, no, Jeremiah, take a breath. Reevaluate. And yeah.
I appreciated that guidance and that encouragement, because normally situations like that, I don't lose it per se, but my mind is always racing with potential solutions. Like, all right, that didn't work. What's next? But then you're like, slow down. I'm like, you know what? You're right. She.
Use the force.
Use the force.
Well, and I have to be honest, my biggest concern was not so much that Jeremiah was locked in, but that Jeremiah was locked in without sufficient food. And he could have starved to death. Oh my gosh.
Water fast will happen so fast. Just pure water, maybe a little bit of tea of whatever's left, and probably some leftover oats, and that would have been my life.
Oh my God, listeners, you can now probably imagine why I'm having Jeremiah on the podcast, but we'll get to that later. Jeremiah, I'm going to ask you, you know what the 3 rapid fire questions are?
I do.
You do. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the rapid fire questions so that my friends can get to know my other friend.
For sure.
All right. Let's start with the first one. Who is Jeremiah Douglas?
Man. Well, for starters, I am a lover of life. I'm an adventurous spirit. I wear my passion on my sleeve, if you could say. Before I'm in anything in regards to audio, I am a son, a brother-in-law, a volunteer, a practitioner, if you will, of sonics. My job is to help make people's listening experience as pleasant as possible. Hence, this podcast and other projects I have the pleasure to work on. But most importantly, yes, I am a lover of life. I am a lover of anything that's in regards to sound. I really enjoy helping people. I'm someone who you can use as a resource if needed, and I just like to push the envelope a little bit. That's the I really like to do things that are out of the ordinary, just thinking outside the box. And I love being a team player. That's my thing. I just love to contribute however I can. So yeah, I like to think that that's Jeremiah for sure.
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, so we met, I think it was late August last year because my podcast came out kind of end of September, early October. And so I came into the Fire and Iron Studios with Vince. Vince was my first guest.
Yep.
And you were at the soundboard. And it was just like, sometimes you just meet people that you're like, I love that person. And that was Jeremiah. He is pure joy, and I'm so grateful to have him for in my life. And I want to go down a rabbit hole. Tell me about this volunteer work.
Well, the last thing, I haven't volunteered as far as like volunteer for anything in a while. The last thing I did was 2019. I had volunteered at a pet hospital. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, for about 3 months, and that was cool. And I've helped out with a couple of pantries and given food to the homeless. I like to think like volunteering right now, just being a resource in my community, the audio community, and those who are interested in just audio. Period. I like to right now. I'm just volunteering my knowledge and actually sharing my knowledge and volunteering the resources that I have just to educate people the best way I can. And even with this radio show that I produce on a monthly basis where it's just music, that's me just providing my taste and just being of service to the community. And just be like, hey, here's an hour's worth of music. You could play it in the background if you're cooking up Sunday dinner, if you're at brunch with your friends, if you're going to work or leaving from work, if you're in the car. Here's just something to help you get through the day, while also at the same time, reaching out to my fellow peers and just giving them knowledge and receiving knowledge. That's the most volunteer work that I'm doing right now. But I have done, other kinds of volunteer work in the past, over the past 5 years.
And listeners, I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell, but I'm using a brand new microphone today that Jeremiah helped me pick out. So there goes Jeremiah helping in the community again. I texted him. I'm like, Jeremiah, I'm just not happy with this sound. He's like, I got you. So this is embarrassing, but I didn't even take it out of the box. I showed up at the studio today with my brand new microphone still in the box. So yeah. All right, Jeremiah, what sets your soul on fire?
Oh man, a lot of things. It's funny. I was thinking about how I was going to answer these questions because I know them so well by now.
I wonder why.
Yeah, because I knew this was going to come eventually. I'm like, if Annette would ever ask me this, what would be my answer? And I couldn't. I had a few ideas, but I think one of the things that sets my soul on fire is, even when I was stating back, just helping people, getting involved in projects, being creative and learning new things, and seeing something that I was a part of touch other people, or seeing things such as music and other forms of media touch people as well. And being adventurous. I love going on adventures, hence why, if we're at least not as much anymore, but in the past on my Instagram, I always just posted pictures of the location I was in with the field recorder in my hand, because that's my camera. I just capture sounds everywhere I go. And it could be just a small adventure. I could go on a hike for the first time, or I could go check out a cafe, or even if I'm on a road trip heading to somewhere, just capturing a moment and then listening back, or seeing it back through a photo. That sets my soul on fire. Just being creative and being able to use that creativity as a tool to be amongst other things to just contribute to society. I know I'm probably saying a lot, but I think to sum it all up, is definitely creativity and just being a part of the process, and just being as adventurous as possible, and just doing things that I enjoy and being around people that I love. That really puts the battery in my back and keeps me going. All that in one.
Jeremiah, are you hearing those sirens? Because I'm wondering if maybe that security camera that was watching me tried to break you out.
We would have.
As the cops coming for us.
If we have to end this episode short before the raid happens, you heard it here first.
Right. You now know what sets Jeremiah's soul on fire. You don't know anything else, but
you do know this, and we end on that note. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm dead. This is the best story ever.
Oh man, I am so gonna, every time I look at that door now, I'm so gonna think of this moment. I don't think there is nothing else that can replace that. I know that for a fact. Every time I look at this door, I might as well just carry like a flathead in my bag everywhere I go now, in case I just have to put it in the door.
The Jeremiah Douglas Memorial flathead.
Just put a flathead, put a flathead, a pair of headphones, a soldering iron, and some apple pie, and something green on my tombstone. And
yes.
That will be
I'm going to get you, Jeremiah. I'm going to get you, it's called a shove knife.
A shove knife.
So basically, most people just make them. They take a paint scraper and then they cut kind of like a C shape out of it. That's really what I needed outside to get you out, but I'm going to get you one.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I'm going to need it.
You're probably going to need it. Okay. I digress. All right, Jeremiah, I already know the answer to this question, but how are you changing the world?
I feel like just being myself.
Exactly.
I feel like, just being myself, and through that, encouraging people to be themselves. I like to think that plays a part in changing the world, just because it offers a different perspective. But at the same time, it allows people to, be their most authentic selves when they're around someone who reciprocates that. And I feel like through that, everything else is second nature. I feel like whenever how however we interact, whether it be in person or through social media, or you've probably heard some of my work, even in the small details, just the details in general of just anything that I'm a part of, you hear a little bit of that. And yeah, I feel like staying authentic, even at times being corny, is my way of, changing the world.
Well, this is okay. This is a prelude. I'm not sure if I've formulated a question yet, Jeremiah. I don't know if it's appropriate to ask you, but I'll start. I'm 52 years old. How old are you?
You want to take a guess?
I would guess 25.
You are correct.
Oh, damn.
I'm 25.
I'm really good at guessing weights too, but we'll talk about that later after we eat dinner or lunch, whatever we're having. So this is an unlikely friendship. I mean, I am near retirement. I'm 52, live out in the suburbs. You're 25. You are into this music and sound. You live in the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so scary for me coming to this city. Just kidding. But when you look at that, that's kind of an unlikely friendship. But my therapist has talked about nervous systems and how you can thrive in the presence of another well-regulated nervous system. And then Anna Hartman, a couple episodes ago, talked about how good it is to be in the presence of another well-regulated nervous system. And I think that's the key to it. Like, not only are you joyful and quirky and hilarious, and you send the best memes and you make hilarious edits on the podcast, like, that is all aside from the fact that you are just like a well-regulated nervous system. So
thank you.
That is the key to it. But there wasn't really a question in there at all. That was a statement, I guess. And I want to start digging into sort of the joy you bring the world in a second. But in this whole time I've known you, I don't think I've ever solidified it in my head. Like, what is your day job and what are your gigs? Like, how do you spend your time?
So I work in audio overall. So I do a lot of engineering work, not just in music, but also with podcasting, doing sound for film and doing library music for film and for other forms of content. And then I also work in audio tech. So doing software development for audio plugins, just like audio software.
Cool.
Yeah, I picked it up during COVID and I just couldn't put it down ever since. So that's what my day-to-day operations look like. If not coding for audio software, just being in the studio, working on projects such as this, doing recording and doing mixing and mastering and being involved in even the music creation process, or even just sounds for film, being on set with my little field recorder, just recording birds or recording impacts and even doing that in the studio. So that's, and also DJing as well. I don't do it as much as I used to while I was in college, but hence, like with the radio show that I do every month, just last night after a session that I had with a friend of mine, another friend of ours came over and we were in the kitchen for about 6 hours just DJing.
Wait, were you locked in?
We were not locked in. Like we were, well,
quote unquote locked in.
Figuratively speaking, we were locked in, but in the case that we were in today, in the literal sense, no. We were able to walk away freely and go get tacos. That's how we ended our night.
Wait, but that was yesterday you had tacos?
I had tacos yesterday, yes.
So we're not getting tacos today, probably.
Probably not.
Okay.
I haven't really thought of what we were going to get as of yet. But there are a few cool spots around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly, also it was late, so taco spots are the only thing that are really open past 11 o'clock at night. So, yeah.
That is so late, Jeremiah.
Oh, it is.
Whew.
It is. But, sometimes we go even longer than that. But I take sleep very, 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 very seriously. If I don't have to stay in the studio late, then I take full-fledged advantage of going to sleep early because I'm also an early bird. I wake up at 6:30 a.m. mostly every day, even on days where I don't have to do anything right away.
So tell me what early, go to bed early. Tell me what that time is.
That time? Does 10 o'clock count?
Well, you know what? For a 25-year-old guy, that's pretty good.
Does 10 o'clock count?
It's pretty good.
I will say that one time I did go to sleep around 8:30 and I woke up at 6 feeling like I just turned over a new leaf. I felt great.
Yes.
That doesn't happen often, but I will say that one chance I did get to experience that, it was surreal. I was like, wow, this feels very gravitating.
Yes.
Yeah.
8 o'clock and 8:30 is magic. You've got to try it.
I gotta try it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. You gotta try it.
I'll have to put it on the list, or I have to, because that used to be my bedtime as a kid. So I think that's why 8:30 is always such a significant time for me, because literally 8:30 lights out, going to bed, you have school tomorrow.
Yes.
So yeah,
the problem is now you don't have school tomorrow.
No, I don't. I might have to be at the studio early, or I might have to do other things, but no, not really. You know, sometimes I just push it. My mom tells me I need to slow down sometimes, and I agree.
Yeah, you probably do. Well, let's riff on that a little bit, because I already mentioned it, and the listeners already heard it when we were cackling like chickens. You are a joyful person. You are just, I don't know. I don't know very many people that are always just full of joy. And is that something that you come by naturally? Like that's how your family is, so that's how you are? Or is it something that you found what you really loved in life, and so it's that whole you never have to work a day in your life if you found what you love? Like, what is it? Or is it a combination?
I think it's definitely a combination, just because of my family and how I was raised. We're all very joyful people.
Oh, I want to meet your family then.
Oh yeah, I'm the middle child out of 3, and it's my parents. Well, my dad currently lives in Vegas, but my mom is still out here, and my whole family's still out here, and they're both very, 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 very social. So are my siblings. Me, on the other hand, I am, but I'm definitely more introverted. But we've thrived on joy at a very early age, just being in a very loving and supportive and organic household. Even the community that I was raised in, it's like we all believed in the same amount of values, and going back to the saying, like, it just takes a village to raise a child, when every child on the block is everybody's kid, because you all believe in the same thing, and you allow kids to make mistakes and bring in differences, but the core values are still there. I felt like that's where it all started, and that even helped me along my journey when I started discovering who I was and being okay with it. And I felt like just being comfortable in that setting as well, I kind of looked at it as like, why wouldn't I just want to be at peace with what I'm doing and where I am? That's the thing. It's like, even though I know that I have so much more to do, with where I'm at right now, I've grown to learn how to be at peace with it. And I feel like that just exudes more joy than me just being critical on myself and being like, yeah, this is cool, but you know what? I didn't do blah, blah. I take everything with a grain of salt, and I realize how I was raised alongside with my own viewpoints and how I see life, and how I would like to be a reflection of others. Like when they come across my space, how I would like to, how I would like to have that energy reciprocated, more so of just, hey, you're you and I'm me, and we're just having a conversation, or we're sharing space with each other right now, and we're building off that, and we're comfortable. We're comfortable with where we at, and we're continuing to see where it takes us. So yeah, it's a combination of both for sure.
That's amazing. And so 1 year ago,
So my New Year's episode last year was Shantae Cofield, and she talked about bringing more joy into your life, and that's exactly why I'm having you. So this is a new theme. First episode every year is going to be about joy and gratitude and all of those things. But something she said is be relentless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I am. Even going back to the saying where like you never have to work a day in your life. Well, like whenever I'm here, I have to come in super early or super late, even if it's, a project that we're stretching out, or, I have to meet a certain deadline, or, we have technical problems, wherever the case is. I always go back to the fact that, wait a minute, I get to do something that I love every single day. It's something that is cool to do. Like I get to work on sound. I get to actually work in, like I get to do all of these cool things. So it doesn't feel like work. But then the people that I do it with, the collaborators and the creators that I get to experience this with, such as yourself, who also is bringing joy into the equation as well, it makes the process much more fun, where it's like we're seeing this all the way through, but we love doing it. And that's the biggest thing. I had to remind myself that I just love what I do, and I love who I am. Even taking a step back from doing this a little bit to just focus on family or focus on myself and go take a trip, or probably just hang out with my family or dogs or something like that. That brings, oh yep, that's another key word, folks. You heard? Yes,
I just wrote down dogs.
I have dogs. Yes. shout out Tigger and Bell. So yeah, just doing that, I feel like it makes things much more seamless for me, and it allows me to just be present with what I'm doing and just see the good side of things, even if the state of the world at the time doesn't really seem that way. Just saying to myself, even in the midst of what's going on right now, if I can just share a light of positivity just by being who I am and understanding where I'm at and understanding just like how I got here and how I can use my gifts and my purpose to serve others, well then I'm all for it.
Excuse me, Jeremiah, fix that.
Fix that, Jeremiah.
Fix that, Jeremiah. I love. We've exchanged some text messages. They're periodic. Like when we made it to 10,000 downloads, when we hit 50 episodes. And I always love it because both of us do the same thing. We say we're a team, and Jeremiah, you produce some other firefighter podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm not the only one, but folks, let's be honest. Jeremiah probably doesn't have a lot of interest in firefighter podcasts, but he makes it. We're a team, and I love that. That's so incredible.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Of course. And also, even in regards to that, because my mother is a first responder.
Did I know that?
I don't think you did.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah, my mom, I don't know the like field of therapy that she's in, but I know that she works with teens. And I also have a lot of officers, like police officers in my family. So I have a good portion of people in my family who are cops. And I even told her this when I told her that I was working with Fire and Iron and I had came across you and I had encountered other people. I told her, I said, with the things that you guys go through every day and the stories that you share and the experiences that you share of what you have to do on a daily basis, number one, it takes a lot of courage to be able to share those kinds of stories and experiences, especially if there are other people in your community that can relate to them. But also, even going back to what I was saying earlier, just using your platform and your art just as an outlet to not only share, but to inspire others, even after, coming through what you guys go through on a daily basis. If I can be just a vessel and a positive force, and express my gratitude for what you do every day just by providing not just my services, quote unquote, but just my personality, and really giving my time and just exuding all kinds of positivity and just good energy to bring to just like bring things back a little bit and just let you know that the world has your back. Then that's the least I can do, because yeah, what you guys go through every day definitely is unimaginable, and it's something that I am immensely grateful for, at the fact that there's a lot of courage in this equation to do what you do. And so this is also just my way of saying thank you.
Well, and Jeremiah sprinkles in little bits of love, such as the bleeps when we forget things, and it's good stuff. Maybe we can put some sound effects in this episode.
Lock sound effects.
Lock sound effects.
Just keys jiggling, but you can't get through the door.
Well, we do eventually probably have to go try to fix that door, but I do have a couple more questions. Jeremiah, 85 episodes you have edited, actually 86 episodes you have edited now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you learned anything along the way?
I have, actually. I've learned a lot. Well, I've learned more about the physical and mental side of things, as far as just training, but also just from a general standpoint, how to pretty much just do other things to take care of yourself. And also, I learned a lot more about community. I think I told you this before, of just the people that you have around you and the network that you have, and even the guests that you have brought to the show. It was made very clear to me that not only were all of you a community, but it's a community that's very grounded and that's very well respected, and you guys learn a lot from each other. And that made me think about my community and how I could start doing that, or just, being another resource, but not just resources, but also peers, because y'all share the same common goal. So I learned, if I had to sum it up in 3 words, yes, I learned a lot about things physically, mentally, and also things that are in regards to community. So yeah, because I have to listen to every single episode.
Sometimes twice.
Yeah, sometimes twice, sometimes more. I'm bound to pick up something, and some things ring and resonate more than others. So yes, I've definitely learned some things.
I've also learned some things. I learned that, I think the term you used was hot. Like, that recording was really hot. And I'm like, ooh, is that good? You're like, ooh.
Or it's clipping.
No, it's not so good. Annette.
Or it's distorted. Yeah.
So
it's clipping,
In this case, hot is not good.
Not in this sense, no.
No.
We don't want any hot signals coming through
No
here.
hot signals. No hot signals. I think you maybe just put a pin in this and think about it, but I think maybe you should start a podcast.
You know what's funny? I've been told that before.
Yeah, Vince told me for like 2 years before, so I'll just keep saying it.
Well, I'll put it like this. I've been told since high school, because in high school we had a radio station. So what I'm doing now, I was already doing back then. But the thing is that I did a little bit of talking, but I was just like, oh, well, no, I don't really know. I'm gonna let the music talk. But everyone, I was like, yeah, you should start a radio show or start a podcast or things of that nature. So I will say this. I'm not opposed to it. And I feel like me doing this radio show is my way of meeting in the middle, because I can't really put it into words. It's just I'm just someone that loves to be in the background. I like to have things. It's like I still present myself, but I like the focus to be on, say a guest, or even the topic, or if not that, say in this case just the music. I'll say like, hey, I'm I'm Jeremiah, or I'm J Doug, and this is Sunday special, such and such episode. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Let's get into it. But as far as podcasting goes, I thought about, I'm like, man, would I actually? It definitely rings in my brain still. So
I'll keep ringing it.
You'll keep ringing that bell. Like, hey, you ever thought about that podcast yet?
And Vince was relentless too. Like every time I'd comment on a Facebook post or whatever, he'd send me a text. Hey, have you started a podcast?
It's like, so what's up with that podcast?
So what's up with that podcast? So it was so funny when I finally decided to start the podcast. I reached out to Vince. I didn't know that this was a service that he offered.
Mm-hmm.
I was just asking him as a podcast host, like, W2F, what do I do?
Yeah.
And he's like, I got you. And I'm like,
Right.
What do you mean I got you? He's like, I got you. And I'm like,
boom.
He's got me. Got me.
And he led us to working together.
That's right.
Yeah.
He did. All right, Jeremiah, before we go fix the door, I'm fixated on the door. Before we go fix it.
Oh, that freaking door.
I know. We can't leave it broken, though.
We can't leave. I guess we can't leave it broken. No, we cannot leave it broken.
We can't leave it broken. I think we can fix it. I want to talk about those dogs you mentioned. Tell me more.
Oh, Belle and Tigger?
Yeah.
So, for all the Disney fans out there, I'm pretty sure it probably rings a bell. It was my sister's calling, my older sister, because she loves Disney. So I have a Shih Tzu who is Tigger and a Poodle whose name is Belle. Very small dogs, very energetic. One is not as social as the other, but they're spoiled as spoiled can be. They are very loud. They have barks, and they'll let it be known that their presence is there. They will go toe to toe with any dog in the neighborhood.
Big dogs?
Big dogs. Actually, I think so. My Belle is the loudest one. She's the one that will actually. She loves being social, but she will also like step up. Big dog or little dog. If there's ever a dog like walking past our house, she'd be the first to just come up to the door and then Tigger is just like in his little pillow, just relaxing. He's like, she's got this.
She's got this.
But if it gets to a point where there's two of them, then he'll jump in, and it's just a barking contest. I'm like, okay, this is a lot for just two dogs. Like, they're outside, so it's not like they can really hear you.
Well, I learned something from my friend Christina Montavo, who was a guest. Excuse me again, Jeremiah, fix that. Actually leave it in or do something funny. Christina Montavo, who was a previous guest and is a personal friend I had, we called it kid charcuterie lunch last week. But anyway, I got to meet her dog, Mac, who is a big old baby. But Christina told me she learned more about human behavior from dogs than she learned from humans.
That makes sense.
And she said when Mac is barking at a squirrel or someone outside just losing his mind, she, instead of like saying, Mac, shut up, be silent, whatever, she says, good job, Mac. And he's like, yeah, I did a good job. And then he stops barking. So it's like dog psychology.
Yeah. I have to learn more than that. Well, I have to learn more of that because I've had dogs all my life. So I feel like we have a very close relationship. Even when I was staying on my own, even though my dogs were still staying with my mom, the closest I had to a dog at the time was a goldfish.
Not adequate.
Not adequate, but still fun. But definitely dogs. I feel like we're here. We're almost one and the same, just because of how long I've been around them. So yeah, I definitely have to learn more about dog psychology. Because these dogs, I'm pretty sure that in another world, they're definitely human. They can hold their own as human beings. I can say that.
Well, I mean, if you think about if you and I were getting in a fight and you start yelling louder, what am I going to do? Yell louder. But if you talk quieter, I'm going to calm down. Same thing with the dog.
And they're very social. Yeah, they just love to be cuddled on and things of that nature. And give me a biscuit and
I'll be your friend forever.
I'll be your friend. Literally, I'll be your friend forever. Or, I'll go on about my business. I just want a biscuit. I'm like,
users.
Okay.
They're users.
Right? It's like, you just want me for the Scooby snacks. You don't care about my day.
Freaking dogs. Well, Jeremiah, we are friends on Instagram, and if anyone wants to follow you on Instagram, I'll put it in the show notes, obviously, but what is your handle on Instagram?
My handle is hi_, I'm J_. So with J, that's JAE, and hi is just hey I, HI.
Or hey I, whatever.
Yeah, hey I. It's just like me introducing myself. So yeah, it's at hi_, I'm J_.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then as I ask all of the guests, do you have any parting words that you would like to share? Or, was there a rabbit hole we should have dug down besides forcible entry?
Yeah, besides
forcible exits.
Now we got to worry both. Just like closing words.
Closing thoughts, anything. Words of wisdom.
Wow. I'm still learning. I feel so young to be given.
You are.
Such gems.
You are young.
I'm so young to be given these.
But also kind of an old soul, if we're being honest.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I definitely do. My brother-in-law made this joke one time that how old did he say? I'm like a 55-year-old man in a 25-year-old body.
Oh, I was gonna say 85.
85?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I see some of the elders on the train and on the bus that dress as Flea. We kind of dress the same way, and they're still just as joyful. Even in my community, we like a lot of engineers are like we have a nice mixture of age ranges, but there are some where, they've worked on some of the biggest records from the 60s on out, and they're probably 80 and 90 years old, still not grinding it out, but more so just retired, but still giving back. And they still move like they started yesterday. So I feel like that would be me in the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think the only closing word that I would say is just stay doing you.
Ooh.
Yeah, just keep on doing you. The world, if we were all the same, the world would be boring.
Oh.
So
that's true.
Yeah, we would things will not really be as at least vibrant as it is now because of the different human beings that walk the planet of the earth. So just no matter what, stay yourself. And if one person doesn't feel it, you'll have 5 more that will.
Oh, that's right. Be authentic, because your vibe attracts your tribe and all that crap.
Yep.
For sure.
The whole 9.
The whole 9. Do you think we should drop the mic now? Carefully, because it's new.
I can drop my mic because this mic is actually
it's durable.
It's durable. This could take a beating for sure, but I'm still not going to drop it. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up then. So it's been AZ and
JD,
and we are officially out.
Bye.
Are you ready to go fix that door?
Unfortunately, yes.
All right, listeners, thanks for listening.
All right.
Have a great day.